Part 4, Desert Glitter, The Ghost in the Machine. The descent was a blur of tearing fabric and scraping skin. Kyle slid down the canyon wall, the dry earth crumbling under his polished dress shoes, dragging him into the dark underbelly of Bel Air. He landed in a dry creek bed, coughing up dust. The air down here was stagnant, smelling of dead sage, rotting leaves, and the distant metallic tang of the freeway. Above him, the lights of Silas Vance's fortress were just a hazy halo against the smog, a distant Olympus he had been cast down from. He checked his body. His suit, the one he'd bought for a funeral, was now fit for one. The jacket was ripped at the shoulder, the trousers stained with dirt and grass. His ankle throbbed with a dull, sickening heat. "Perfect," he croaked. His voice was a dry rattle. The desert glitter had worn off, leaving behind a chemical crater in his brain. He felt hollowed out, scraped clean of dopamine and hope. He began to walk. He followed the ravine, limping through the shadows. He could hear the coyotes yipping in the distance, the laughter of the scavengers. They sounded like the party guests, flaky and flawless. It took him an hour to find a road. He emerged onto Sepulveda Boulevard, covered in dust, looking like a specter. Cars whizzed by, blinding him with their high beams, indifferent to the man stumbling on the shoulder. He was a ghost. In Los Angeles, if you don't have a car, you don't exist. If you don't have a phone, you don't have a soul. And Kyle had neither. He walked until he saw the fluorescent sanctuary of a 24-hour donut shop. The light hummed with a buzzing intensity that made his eyes ache. He pushed open the door. The cashier, a teenager with purple hair and a piercing in her eyebrow, didn't even look up from her phone. "We're out of bear claws," she said flatly. "I need a charger," Kyle rasped. He dug into his pocket and pulled out the crumpled remains of his cash, 2 20s he had gotten from the dealer, now soft with sweat. He slapped one onto the counter. "Please, just 10 minutes." The girl looked at the money, then at Kyle's ruined suit, then at his desperate eyes. She shrugged and slid a lightning cable across the counter. "Don't bleed on the counter." Kyle plugged in his phone. He stood there staring at the black screen, willing the lightning bolt icon to appear. Come on, come on. It flickered to life. 1%, 2%. As he waited, his eyes drifted to the TV mounted in the corner. It was muted, playing a local news loop. Breaking news. Tragedy in the hills. Kyle watched, mesmerized. There was footage of Marcus Hamilton's glass mansion. There was a stock photo of Marcus, smiling that gold-dipped smile. The Chiron changed. Marcus Hamilton dead at 54. Kyle felt a cold numbness spread through his chest. He was gone. The king was dead. But then, the image shifted. It showed Silas Vance. He was standing outside his own gates, the same gates Kyle had just fled from, giving a statement to a throng of reporters. He looked solemn. He looked respectful. He looked like a grieving brother. Kyle leaned in, reading the closed captions scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Vance. The industry has lost a giant, but Marcus left us a final gift. The camera zoomed in on Silas holding a manuscript. It was battered, coffee-stained. Kyle's breath hitched. It was Echo Park. Vance. We found this in his desk tonight, a project he was secretly developing. The Dark Angel. It was his vision, his legacy. I intend to honor him by bringing it to the screen immediately. Kyle gripped the counter so hard his knuckles turned white. He stole it, Kyle whispered. The cashier looked up. Huh? He stole it, Kyle shouted, his voice cracking. That's my script. That's mine. The girl pulled the charger cord back. Okay, psycho, you got your charge. Get out before I call the cops. Kyle looked at the screen. Silas Vance wasn't just stealing the script. He was erasing Kyle completely. By claiming it was found in Marcus's estate, He bypassed the need for a contract. He bypassed the need for the writer. He was rewriting reality, framing the theft as a tribute. And who would believe Kyle? The guy who stole a Porsche? The guy who ran from the police? The guy with narcotics in his blood and no digital paper trail because he was too precious about hard copies? Whispers like smoke just circle around, Kyle thought. They vanish faster than the ice in the glass. He grabbed his phone, 12% battery, and ran out of the shop. He stood in the parking lot, the Santa Ana winds whipping his torn jacket around him. He needed a witness. He needed an alibi. He needed the only person in this city who had seen him for what he was. He opened his DMS. Kyle, meet me, please. He waited. The dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Jade, where are you? Kyle, Sepulveda and victory. I have nothing, Jade. He took it all. Jade, go to the laundromat on Vine. The one with the neon clown. 20 minutes. The Uber ride cost the last of his cash. The driver, a man who smelled of menthols and patience, didn't ask about the suit or the dirt. He just drove. Kyle got out on Vine Street. The neighborhood was quiet, the streetlights reflecting off the oil stains on the asphalt. The neon clown sign of the wash and fold flickered maniacally. Wink off, wink off. Jade was sitting on a plastic bench inside, watching a dryer spin. She was wearing oversized sunglasses and a hoodie, trying to disappear. When she saw Kyle, she didn't smile. She stood up and walked over to him, looking him up and down. You look like a car crash, she said. I feel like one, Kyle admitted. He slumped against a row of washing machines. The rumble of the spin cycles vibrated against his spine. Did you see the news? I saw, Jade said. Silas Vance is the new king. Long live the king. He has my script, Jade. He went on TV and said it was Marcus's. He said he found it in the desk. And let me guess, Jade said, crossing her arms. You don't have a copy. You don't have a contract. And you're currently a fugitive for Grand Theft Auto. I didn't think he would go that fast. Speed is the weapon, Kyle. By the time the truth puts its shoes on, the lie has already traveled around the world and won an Oscar. She reached into her bag and pulled out a bottle of water. She handed it to him. He drank it in 3 gulps. So what do I do? Kyle asked, crushing the plastic bottle. Do I go to the press? Do I sue him? With what money? Jade asked gently. Lawyers cost more than borrowed Porsches. And the press? They won't run a story about a junkie writer claiming he wrote the Legacy Project. They'll run the mugshot of you stealing a car from a rehab patient. Kyle slid down to the floor. He put his head in his hands. The hopelessness was a physical weight, heavier than the canyon dirt. I should have stayed in Wisconsin, he muttered. I should have just stayed in the snow. Jade sat down next to him. The linoleum was cold. But you didn't, she said. You wanted the glitter. You wanted to be somebody. I just wanted to be heard, Kyle said. I wrote that script because I felt invisible. And now I'm even more invisible. I'm a ghost. Jade took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were tired, dark circles bruised beneath them. We're all ghosts here, Kyle. We haunt the places we think we belong. The parties, the studios, the bars. We rattle our chains and hope someone notices. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver thumb drive. Kyle looked at it. What is that? When I was at the party, Jade said slowly. Before we left, I went to the bathroom, but I took a detour into Marcus's office. Kyle stared at her. Why? Habit, she shrugged. I was looking for cash, or pills, or anything I could pawn. I saw his laptop open on the desk. Kyle held his breath. I saw an email chain, she continued. Between Marcus and Silas, from yesterday morning. What did it say? It was Silas pressuring Marcus, asking if he had found a flagship property yet. And Marcus replied. Jade smiled, a sharp, dangerous smile. Marcus replied, I found a kid, Kyle Vane. Script is called Echo Park. It's genius. I'm going to lowball him, but this is the one. Kyle felt the room spin. He read it? He read it, Jade confirmed. He lied to your face to make you desperate. Standard negotiation tactic. But he put it in writing to Silas. He attached a PDF of your script to the email. She twirled the thumb drive in her fingers. I dragged the email onto this. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I could blackmail Marcus later. Maybe I just wanted insurance. Kyle looked at the silver drive. It was tiny. It was everything. It was proof that Marcus knew him. Proof that Silas knew Marcus didn't write it. Proof of the timeline. You have the smoking gun, Kyle whispered. I have a grenade, Jade corrected. And if you pull the pin, you blow up Silas Vance. You blow up the legacy project. You destroy the lie. She held it out to him. But think about it, Kyle. If you use this, you burn the bridge. You burn the whole city. Silas will blacklist you. You will never work in this town again. You'll be the guy who sued the industry. I don't care, Kyle said. The anger was back, the thirst. I don't want to work in this town. I want to burn it down. Do you? Jade asked softly. Or are you just hurting? Because if you destroy Silas, you don't get the money. You don't get the fame. You just get the truth. And in Los Angeles, the truth doesn't buy groceries. Kyle looked at the spinning dryers. Clothes tumbling over and over, going nowhere. Champagne's cheaper than telling the truth. He looked at Jade. Why are you giving this to me? You could sell this to Silas. He'd pay you a fortune to bury it. He would, Jade admitted. He'd probably give me a record deal just to shut me up. So why? Because, Jade said, looking at the neon clown flickering in the window. Because I'm tired of dancing in the drought. And because I like your face. It's not hardened yet. She pressed the drive into his dirty palm. It's 3 a.m., Kyle. The news cycle resets at 6. If you're going to do something, do it now. Kyle closed his fingers around the metal. It was cold. It was real. I need a computer, Kyle said. There's an internet cafe down the street. It's mostly for gamers, but they have terminals. Kyle stood up. His legs were shaky, but his resolve was iron. Come with me, he said. No, Jade stayed seated. I've played my part. I'm the frantic angel who hands you the sword. Now you have to go fight the dragon. Jade, go, she said, before I change my mind and sell it for a Tesla. Kyle hesitated. He wanted to hug her. He wanted to save her. But he realized, looking at her sitting calmly in the fluorescent hum of the laundromat, that she didn't need saving. She had made peace with the desert. He was the one still fighting the sand. Thank you, he said. Don't thank me, she said, putting her sunglasses back on. Just make it hurt. Kyle turned and ran out of the laundromat. He sprinted down Vine Street. The pain in his ankle was gone, replaced by a singular burning purpose. He wasn't running away anymore. He was running toward the fire. He found the internet cafe. It was dark, smelling of energy drinks and ozone. He slammed a $10 bill on the counter and took a station in the back. He plugged in the drive. There it was, the email file. From M. Hamilton, to S. Vance. Subject, the gold mine. Kyle opened a browser. He didn't go to the police. He didn't go to a lawyer. He went to Deadline. He went to Variety. He went to the Hollywood Reporter. He found the tip line emails. He composed a message. Subject, the truth about Silas Vance and the Marcus Hamilton legacy. He attached the email chain. He attached the metadata showing the file creation date of his script on his own laptop. He attached a photo of himself, dirty, bruised, holding the script, dated 6 months ago. He hovered over the send button. We trade our souls for another night's spin. If he sent this, he was dead in this town. Silas would crush him legally. He would be sued for defamation, for theft, for everything. But the lie would be exposed. The paper-thin crown would tear. He thought about the borrowed car. He thought about the drugs in his veins. He thought about the empty hearts. "Burn it," he whispered. He clicked send. Then he clicked it again for the next outlet. And the next. He sat back in the gaming chair. The screen glowed blue on his face. It was done. The grenade was thrown. Now he just had to wait for the explosion. He looked at the time. 4:15 a.m. The city was quiet. The calm before the dawn. He stood up and walked out of the cafe. He stood on the sidewalk of Hollywood Boulevard. The stars on the Walk of Fame were beneath his feet, brass and terrazzo, names of people who had danced the dance and won. Kyle looked down at a blank star. "Not today," he said. He heard a siren in the distance. It was getting closer. He didn't run. He just reached into his pocket and pulled out the keys to the Porsche 911 Targa. He held them up to the street lamp. They glittered. He dropped them into a sewer grate. They fell with a distant splash. The siren wailed, turning the corner. Kyle Vane stood still, waiting to be found, finally ready to tell the truth. End of part 4.